So Lauren took her sandwich out of her lunchbox and opened it up. And then she gasped, because it was a cheese and jam sandwich. And she held it up for everyone to see, and we were all shocked. Then everyone started shouting, "Do me next! Do me!" But Miles said the shoe goes where the shoe goes. And then he held it over Irfan Baxter's head and said, "You will play football today. You will score 1 goal, maybe more." And that made Irfan Baxter smile a lot because he loves football. Then Miles held the shoe over Miss Riley's head and said, "Today you will get a big surprise." And Miss Riley said, "Oh, how lovely." I was desperate for it to be my turn. But then the bell rang and Miles had to put the shoe back on so we could all go out for lunch. Everyone was talking about the shoe at lunch. Lauren Carr even said that she was going to keep half of her sandwich as evidence that the shoe had powers. Then Irfan Baxter said that he was going to play football, so everyone ran outside to watch, and Miles waved the shoe at him. When Irfan Baxter scored his first goal, everyone went mad, and the boys even picked Miles up off the ground and chanted, "Shoe, shoe, shoe, shoe." That afternoon, Lauren Carr started crying because she couldn't find her break time snack in her tray. So Miles held the shoe up to his ear and nodded as if the shoe was whispering to him. And then he said, "The shoe has a riddle for you. What is yellow and blue and not made of poo?" So we all looked around for something that was yellow and blue and not made of poo. And that's when I saw the big beanbag. So I shouted, "The beanbag!" And everyone rushed over. And when we picked it up, we found Lauren's Kit Kat underneath. So Lauren gave Miles half of her Kit Kat to say thanks. Then Miss Riley started screaming that there was a rat in her handbag. And then she shut herself in the cupboard. So we all looked and saw a rat's tail sticking out of her bag. Then the deputy head, Mr. Harris, came rushing in and asked us what was going on. So we told him, and he said, "Stand back." And then he used a ruler to flip the rat's tail into the bag so it didn't get squished. And then he closed the bag really quickly. Then he told Miss Riley that the situation was under control and that she could come out now. But she wouldn't. That's when I remembered that Miles had said earlier about Miss Riley's big surprise. And I realised that Miles hadn't said it was going to be a good surprise. So I shouted through the door to Miss Riley that the rat must have been her big surprise, just like Miles had said. And as soon as I said that, she opened the door and said, "Miles McKay, did you put a rat in my handbag?" And Miles said no. But then Mr. Harris said, "Miles, did you put a rat in Miss Riley's bag?" And Miles said yes. But then he said that it wasn't a real rat and that it was only made of rubber and that it was all part of his act. Then Miles explained that the shoe didn't have powers and that he had just tricked us. Miles said that he peeked inside Lauren's packed lunchbox that morning to see her sandwich, and that he'd taken her Kit Kat and hidden it under the beanbag, and also that he put the rat in Miss Riley's bag when she wasn't looking. But then Irfan Baxter said, "If it was a trick, how did you know I was going to play football and score a goal?" And Miles said that Irfan always plays football at lunch and that he always scores a goal, and that he probably would have scored even more goals if everyone hadn't stopped playing to chant "shoo, shoo." So then Lauren Carr demanded half her Kit Kat back, and Miles got told off by Miss Riley and by Mr. Harris for going through other people's belongings and for giving Miss Riley a terrible fright. I felt sorry for Miles, because he'd only been trying to do a good trick, and he'd even told us how he'd done it. And the magicians that I've seen have never never told me how they do their tricks, not even when I've asked all the way through their act. So after break, I sneaked under our table when no one was looking and put loads of glue all over Miles's left shoe. And then I sprinkled a whole tube of green glitter all over it. When Miles saw his shoe, he was shocked. "How did that happen?" he said. And so I said, "Only the shoe knows, Miles. Only the shoe knows."